All right, let's get right into it. We usually think of royal succession as this, long, patient waiting game. But what if the next in line isn't just waiting? What if he's actively seizing control right now, from behind palace walls? That's what we're digging into today. The story of a silent coup and how Prince William is allegedly forging a new, and some say ruthless monarchy, before he even wears the crown.
This quote really sets the tone for everything. Because according to the reports we're looking at, that weight of waiting just became too much. Prince William apparently saw a future he was not willing to accept and decided he wasn't going to wait around to change it. This is where succession stops being a waiting game and turns into a high-stakes chess match.
So where did it all begin? Well, it wasn't some big public announcement. Nope. The story starts in the fancy gilded rooms of Windsor Castle during a state banquet. Sources say this was the night everything changed, the moment a quiet worry inside the prince hardened into a cold, calculated plan of action.
Now, listen to the words insiders use to describe this scene. It's so vivid. You have Prince William standing there in what's described as a controlled fury, watching his father. The king, you'll remember, was battling cancer, and to William, he looked gray and completely finished. For William, this wasn't just his father being sick, it was a sign that things were being terribly mismanaged. And right there, in that moment, his worry apparently curdled into a final, firm decision.
All that frustration had to go somewhere, and according to the source, William aimed it directly at his stepmother, Queen Camilla. He reportedly came to believe that she was the one pushing his father too hard, forcing him to keep up this grueling schedule just for appearances. And the conclusion he landed on wasn't just that she needed to back off. No, it was that she had to be removed from the picture entirely.
But here's the thing. That blow-up at the state banquet didn't come out of nowhere. It was just the final straw. To really understand it, we need to back up a few weeks, to a moment that really set the stage for this whole confrontation. It's being called a loyalty test, and it was a test that Camilla was pretty much set up to fail.
Okay, so let's walk through this timeline. The Prince Andrew scandal is getting worse and worse, and William is in full-on damage control mode. So, he gives Camilla an ultimatum. You have to cut all ties with your close friend, Sarah Ferguson, to protect the firm's reputation. But Camilla said no. She chose a friend of decades over his demand. Now, for William, this was never really about Fergie. It was a test of allegiance, and in his mind, Camilla picked the wrong side. The relationship, which had been, workable, reportedly turned to solid ice.
And this, right here, this is the key to the whole strategy being described. This wasn't just some emotional squabble. It was a cold, strategic calculation. When Camilla refused to play ball, William allegedly reclassified her in his mind. She went from being a sometimes tricky ally to a direct obstacle standing in the way of his vision for the monarchy.
But to really get the sheer intensity of this conflict, you have to look back. You have to. The sources we've seen all argue that this isn't just about schedules or friendships. It's about a ghost that has followed William his entire life, the memory of his mother, Princess Diana, and the absolute train wreck of her marriage.
We all remember this quote, right? It's iconic. That one sentence basically defined a whole generation of royal history. And according to the experts, it completely shaped how Prince William sees the monarchy and the woman who became his stepmother. For a long time, there was this fragile peace, but it was a peace built on top of a very deep, very old wound.
And that leads us to the real question hanging over all of this. The trauma of that crowded marriage has, by all accounts, lit a fire in William. He seems absolutely determined to make sure that his monarchy, and what's left of his father's reign, is under his control and his control alone.
The king's cancer diagnosis was the trigger. It just tore all those old wounds wide open. One insider put it bluntly, saying William feels he cannot forgive her for what he is watching. Suddenly, he doesn't just see his stepmother. He allegedly sees the woman who blew up his family, now making calls about his father's health that he completely rejects. Now, a private war like this, it rarely stays private for long. The next phase of this so-called silent coup is being fought out in the open, in the court of public opinion. We're talking about an information war, fought with strategic leaks and, maybe most powerfully, a tell-all book.
So let's look at the reported playbook here. Step 1. Little details about the freezing relationship start to leak out to the press. Step 2. A literary grenade, this explosive book by Tom Bower, is launched. And Step 3. A clear story emerges for the public. William is the strong one, the protector of the crown, stepping up to save his vulnerable father and the institution itself.
And that book, well, it had the perfect ammo.
This one claim that Camilla had insulted Meghan Markle instantly reignited a huge public crisis. For William, this was reportedly the perfect Exhibit A, proof of the exact kind of reputational risk he was trying to stamp out. It just reinforced his whole argument that the old guard, Camilla included, had to go.
Okay, so what is the end goal here? If William pulls this off, what does his monarchy actually look like? Well, the sources paint a picture that's way more extreme than anything his father ever planned. It's not just a slimmed-down monarchy, it's a purified one.
This chart really nails the difference. King Charles always talked about a more modern, streamlined family, but William's vision, as it's being described here, is all about absolute control. It's a zero-tolerance institution. Loyalty isn't just expected, it's demanded. And there is absolutely no room for anyone or anything that could even be seen as a liability. And what's so wild is the claim that this is anything but an impulse decision. The source insists William has been preparing for this for years. He's studied the power dynamics, he knows where all the skeletons are buried, and he's got a list of who's loyal and who isn't. This is being presented as the final move in a very, very long game.
Which brings us to the final, and frankly, most dramatic, act described in the source material, the purge. This is where the theory becomes reality. It's about clearing house to make way for his new era.
And we're not talking in hypotheticals. The alleged target list is shockingly specific. It reportedly starts with Queen Camilla's own family, the Parker Bowles, and her closest friends. But it doesn't stop there. Also in the crosshairs, according to these sources, are Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, the daughters of the disgraced Prince Andrew.
And apparently, the fallout is already happening behind the scenes. People in Camilla's family are said to be quietly making plans for a life outside the royal world, basically preparing for exile. And at the same time, Beatrice and Eugenie are reportedly getting lawyers, getting ready for a fight. They are not going to be pushed aside without one. The battle lines are definitely being drawn.
So, after all of that, we're left with this one huge question. Are we witnessing the necessary, even ruthless actions of a future king who's just trying to save the institution from itself, or is this the start of something else, a new kind of royal tyranny, one that's built on absolute control and maybe even fear? That's the question at the very heart of this silent coup.